On today's show, fishing meets fundraising.
You might want to weigh this one.
These anglers help Minnesotans get much-needed home improvements. Find out how you can help out too. We horse around in a state park full of endless miles of equestrian trails and a light recipe for your next catch.
Minnesota Bound, presented by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems.
Hey everybody, Laura, Millie and I welcome you to today's episode.
Up first, we head to St. Paul, where a few Minnesota volunteers have a little fun helping their neighbors.
Yeah, it's a story of revitalization, but it's a story that starts with fishing. To rebuild Minnesota looks like this. Armand Peterson leads this two-day project.
We're all, probably 75% of them are Honeywell retirees, but we'll have to admit it's kind of fun working together with these guys.
This crew works on an access ramp at a St. Paul home.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota is a nonprofit organization that does home repair, and we work with folks that really they need help keeping in a safe and healthy home.
Now, you might wonder what all this construction has to do with life outdoors. Well, the answer starts
I always catch the first fish.
with a little daughter and dad trash talk.
You want to do the honors of clicking the clicker?
Elise Sjogren likes to fish. So does her dad, Tony. Both work for Rebuilding Together Minnesota.
My passion is fishing. It's what I do for my hobby. So we said, well, let's start a fishing tournament.
We started the hook, line, and shelter fishing tournament.
The concept is that you sign up for the fishing tournament.
And if anybody can fish anywhere.
So if you catch a bass, you're in one class. If you catch a walleye, you're in a different one. It's not just the biggest fish, it's the biggest fish given the different species.
It runs from fishing opener to Labor Day. And you go out and you fish and you help us along the way while you're doing it.
The online tournament documents leaders and biggest fish.
It's kind of a fun way to virtually have a fishing tournament.
And such a Minnesota thing to do.
It is.
We're combining the love of fishing with what we think is a good cause, and we're just going to keep growing it year after year.
The money raised funds projects like this one.
Today we're building a ramp for Larry.
I've been watching them and trying to stay out of their way because they seem to be a well-oiled machine.
Larry Beekus needed an easier way to get in and out of his house.
It is fantastic. I'm just amazed beyond words to how well these guys have done here.
A special project for Armand's crew, for sure.
And today is celebrating their 75th ramp that they built in the Twin Cities.
This is our version of the Golden Spike. We put the label on that it was ramp is the property of Rebuilding Together.
It's unbelievable. I thank God that these guys are here and this program is just unreal, and I'm so grateful to every one of these guys and gals that have been out here.
When they step outside and they take their first trip down that ramp.
And that's why we do it. You almost tear up when you see that. Well, we really enjoy doing this, and we're really happy that you can use it. As you can tell, we like to work together.
Fish. You might want to weigh this one. He's heavy.
Exactly why people like the Sjogrens will keep fishing.
It's northern.
Typical fashion, Elise is out fishing me already.
They share a love of Minnesota's outdoor pastime and a passion for helping others.
If I can get a couple of hundred people involved in a fishing tournament for a summer, that's going to raise us enough money to do 2 or 3 ramps. It's a win-win for us.
It's feeding their soul. That's why we're doing it.
If you'd like to fish the tournament, you can find details online. Just do a search for Rebuilding Together Minnesota. Coming up, a state park that caters to riders of a different breed.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems, Star Bank, White Bear Lake Superstore, and by Your Boat Club.
Up next, we're off to one of 12 Minnesota state parks that offer beautiful views and miles of trails, all dedicated to horses and equestrian enthusiasts. Tis the season to be chasing fall color, and there's no better way to see miles and miles of trails than on horseback. We're here at St. Croix State Park, taking a beautiful ride through the woods. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right.
The St. Croix River, I think there's 23 or 24 miles of river frontage in the park. We have 128 miles of roads and trails of all sorts of uses: snowmobile, horseback, hiking. I'm Rick Dunkley. I'm the park manager here at St. Croix State Park. Most folks know me by Ranger Rick, makes it easy.
What a girl.
Good morning, ladies.
Hello.
How are you today?
We're good. We're excited to ride.
Yes,
It's a
we
great
are.
place to ride. You picked a good spot. We're here at gate 17, and we're going to head down towards Big Eddy. It's a beautiful spot there. Then this trail heads down into the Shangwatana State Forest, and actually on the other end of the park heads to St. Croix State Forest and Nemadji too.
We're looking forward to it.
It's time to mount up.
Let's do it.
St. Croix State Park is such a beautiful spot in Minnesota. I feel like you can come out here, you can ride miles of trails and really not see another rider or person. If you're looking for an opportunity to be out in nature with your horse and feel like you've really left the Twin Cities and have an opportunity to get away from cell phones and the craziness, this is a really beautiful spot to be.
Couldn't have asked for a better day.
The trails are fairly open and easy to ride.
So while you're in Minnesota, while you have to look a little harder to find some sporty trails that have some hills and some water crossings, not every park does, the beautiful part about riding in Minnesota is the trails are marked so well. Even for me, it's relatively impossible to get lost. Beautifully marked trails just make for a stress-free ride for you and the horse. You know exactly where you are. And I think that they also have done a really good job of having great parking spots, so people with big rigs can come in safely and find a spot to take their horses off.
The horse camp, there's 40 sites there. I think 19 of them are electric, the rest are non-electric. Big groups will come and they'll congregate there and enjoy their time in the evening there.
This is Carmela. She is an 11-year-old Icelandic mare. I got her in New Mexico, and I love this breed because they are sweet, they're mild-mannered, they are a smaller breed horse, but they're really sure-footed, they're very fast, and they're really agile. So they're quite athletic, and you can just maneuver around the trail like crazy as fast as you want to. They're really fun.
Highlights of fall, we generally, most years, have great fall color. Fall colors here are gorgeous. There's a fire tower, so folks will ride to the fire tower and tether their horse there and climb up and take a look at fall colors from there too.
The autumn is beautiful. Less bugs, cooler temperatures, horses travel well. It's a great time to be here with the changing seasons.
Still ahead, we go back in time to explore a hobby all about the birds. But first, we get wild in the kitchen cooking up a wild game recipe for the health conscious.
Closed captioning provided by Radco Truck Accessories.
Today we're getting wild in the kitchen with Chef Jim Kimberg from Stillwater Country Club. And Chef Jim, I've noticed there's some beautiful rainbow trout here on the platter.
Yes, we're lucky to have them.
What are we making today?
So we're actually doing a recipe that it's baked in parchment paper. So the French would call this en papillote, which translates to butterfly.
Beautiful.
So it's actually going to look like kind of a butterfly wing when we're baking it.
I love it. Nice and healthy too.
It is healthy, yeah. First step, we're going to take this olive oil. You got a white pastry brush. And we want to just brush that along the edges.
Yes.
The reason we do this, that's going to help seal everything in so that steam is trapped. Be so kind as to just kind of lay the fish right.
Straight or diagonal?
A little diagonal is fine.
Okay.
Perfect. So halfway mark, because we're going to be folding this over, so we're looking good.
Time for some salt and pepper?
Salt and pepper.
This is your signature.
It is.
Salt and pepper only.
Good ingredients, salt and pepper only. There you go. Next, let's take those lemons and let's just lay those right on top of those trout fillets. Next, we got some green beans if you want to just kind of lay those right in the middle. Next, let's do some of those toasted almonds.
Toasted almonds.
And we did toast these ahead of time as well.
So easy to do. Excellent.
Now we're going to come across and do the same thing with a little bit of bacon.
You know what they say, everything's better with bacon.
Everything is better with bacon. True statement. All right, so we're ready to kind of seal this into the parchment, so we're going to fold that in half.
Is this the tricky part?
It takes a little bit of finesse. You can see how I'm just wrapping, sealing.
So you're somewhat rolling the corners in.
Yeah.
And in small pieces, not in big pieces.
Yep, exactly.
It's like a pie crust almost.
You got it. And that oil is going to help seal in the whole package.
Look at that.
And this is where the French term papillotes. We got a little butterfly wing there.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Time for the oven?
Time for the oven. Go ahead and slide it in. 15 minutes.
Pretty quick.
So you can see the parchment has definitely puffed. And that's creating a little steam oven, a little convection in there with all that steam rolling around. It's going to cook the fish. It's going to infuse all the flavors from the almonds, the bacon, the green beans, the lemon, all going to come together and just stay nice and moist in that environment. All right, I think so. It's been about 15 minutes.
Smells good.
It smells great.
Steaming away.
Look at that.
Wow. How do we cut into this?
This is the fun part. So we're just going to take our knife, cut right into it, and just
wow. Look at the steam.
And look
beautiful.
At that.
All right, Chef, time for a taste?
Let's do this.
Let's do this. I love it. Wild rainbow trout, simple parchment preparation.
There you go.
Okay. Looks delicious. Very good. That's clean eating right there.
That was good.
Hey everybody, Bill Shirk, the man about the woods on behalf of the Rapid Marine Group. You know, the service technicians over there talk about seeing the same 3 trailer issues over and over and over. So today I want to talk about them. Number 1, to save you a bunch of money on repairs, and number 2, to keep you on the road. The first is right up here in front. The service techs say that a good chunk of the used boats that come in have brake systems that are all screwed up, and here's why. Nobody ever checks the brake fluid in their trailer system. All you have to do is pop this cap off, and you look down here in the reservoir. If it's got liquid in it, you're good to go. If it's low or even dry, you need to add fluid. They say an easy way to figure out if it's working or not, if you feel jerking when you start and stop with the boat on the back, you need more fluid. Number 2 and number 3 are back here. Number 2, your tires. Nobody checks their tire pressure anymore. Of course, vehicles have monitoring systems, but you need to check your trailer tires at least a couple of times a season. Number 1, if they are underinflated, they wear very quickly. And number 2, you burn more gas, which right now is a big deal. All right, the third thing to look for, we got to sneak down here. Your bearings. What do you need to know about them? Well, an easy check to make sure they're in good shape after you've been driving for a minimum of 10 or 15 minutes. Just feel them. They should be cool. If they are hot, or even a little bit warm, you know you might have an issue. The second thing, you pull the cap off and look for grease. I've got plenty, so I know I'm good to go. A lot of people make it a rule one time a year. They have the technicians replace the bearings or repack them. Doing so, you know you're good to go. Pay attention to your trailer. No big deal until you're on the road and you have an issue. Straight ahead, a Minnesota-bound classic dedicated to a bird that loves to race from point A to B.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Game Fair. Visit Brainerd. And by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
White racers, blue barons, and zippy reds. They're all names of birds that know how to race.
Well, they may not look fast, but they can fly, and they are determined.
They want to come home. I've had them walk home from a race with a broken wing. Training involves just putting them in a crate and taking them down the road. Short distances and graduating into longer distances. I should feed them here too.
No one is really quite sure how pigeons find their way back, but it's believed to be a combination of magnetic fields, hearing, and sight. Racing homing pigeons is a time-consuming hobby, and it's one that's seen a decrease in its popularity from the heydays of the 1930s.
They do take a little bit of work, but when I come up here I can relax, forget about all the hectic things I've done all day long, sit down. The birds have a calming effect upon you, and it's a good way to just forget about everything. This morning we'll crate up these birds and the ones on the end and take them down the road, and they'll beat us home. It's raining a little bit, but that won't slow them down. The object is for them to go straight out of the crate and head straight home, right up the road here. Hopefully that's what they're going to do. If it was all down to a science, you'd only have a couple of birds, and the same guy would win every week. If we wait out here, they should be here in a minute or two.
All the training is geared for race day, and for this big statewide race, nearly 1,000 birds are packed up and sent off Thursday night.
Done everything you can. Now it's up to the bird. It's the thrill of getting the bird to come home after all you've done. And no matter what happens, that first bird home is the winner to your loft.
Just after sunrise on a Nebraska Saturday morning, a specially designed truck releases the birds. And after a night in the dark, they quickly get their bearings, and most of the birds head north, homeward bound.
When the bird comes on the day, 500 miles, and you know that he worked his little heart out, it's a thrill to get a 500-mile day bird.
And that thrill is what all the work, waiting, and the watching is for. With the pigeon racers, I'm Belinda Jensen reporting.
Minnesota State Pigeon Association is still going strong today. Pretty cool.
Pretty amazing group. Well, that about does it for us. The three of us hope to see you back here next week.
In the meantime, remember to introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
You see a pigeon or what?
Should love one.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.